Welcome to the Hollywood Persona Podcast. Here are your hosts, Mitch and Ant.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Hollywood Persona episode 76. My name is Mitch, and I'm here with Ant. How's it going, bud?
Hey, Mitch. Great. I can't wait to talk to you.
What is behind you? Tell us.
So I am dog watching my best friend's dog and their
Herbert.
neighbor. Yeah, so Herbert and their neighbor's dog and cat. So I'm like bouncing between the two houses, but I am now in my old apartment, and my friend Ryan's girlfriend paints, and she painted this amazing like raspberry / vagina combo, and I think
That's a strawberry.
Oh, strawberry, and I think it's amazing. I love it.
What do you mean? I don't see a vagina in there.
It's just
I see penis.
That's the beauty of art, man. It's just whatever you interpret it as.
What's the other one? What's the blue one beside you? I don't know if you can move your camera at all, but
this one, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's more of just like a star.
Okay.
Thing. It's really cool. And there's some more work too. I don't know if you can see the one on the easel back there.
Oh, so it's like a studio now.
Yeah. They turned the apartment into a studio. It's great. It's really cool.
Yeah. So we've got lots to talk to you guys about. It's been a while since we've recorded. Just lots going on, but I also really haven't seen a whole lot. Like I've seen Heretic and Enora, which we are definitely going to talk about today, and I'm really excited to talk about that. Ant, you've seen Red One, Memoir of a Snail, Blitz, and Amelia Perez, which people can see on Netflix right now. So he's going to talk a little bit about his thoughts on Amelia Perez because he saw it in theaters. And then we're going to wait to kind of really discuss it until next episode, because I will have seen it. So yeah, that
sounds good.
What do you think about all that?
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
And I saw, I just want to mention other things I've seen, but I don't feel the need to really talk about them. Small things like these, which is Cillian Murphy's follow-up after Oppenheimer.
Yeah, you said it was kind of slow.
Really, really
boring.
Slow, quiet, boring. Not a bad movie, but just left me wanting more, so I don't need to mention that. I think it was an Oscar.
What's that one about? Sorry?
I was going to say, I think it's like an Oscar. It was trying for an Oscar grab. It's him out in, he's like a coal miner, and he has 4 daughters, and there's a Catholic church thing going on that he witnesses, like where women who have kids out of wedlock are like pulled into this convent, treated poorly, but that's the thing is we don't see it. We're not really sure. So it's just really, really slow and boring. And then besides that, I saw Blitz, which is Saoirse Ronan's Oscar hopeful. The movie Elevation, which was Anthony Mackie's like post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah, I saw trailers for that, but it's not being pushed at all.
No, and you know what? Like the thing about that, and the reason I want to talk about it is, it's just another version of the Nicolas Cage movie you and I saw called Arcadian.
Right, you texted me that.
And
Arcadian's good.
Yeah, Arcadian's way, way better. This one's just not.
I would
great.
rewatch Arcadian.
I would too.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty cool.
Okay, here's my question for you: Arcadian or Never Let Me Go? Yeah. What would you?
Arcadian.
Yeah.
And to answer Forrest's question, I can't. The dog is too lazy. I can see him, but he won't get up to move. But I have taken 1,000 pictures, so I will show you one of them because he is just so cute and fun.
Turn it a little.
It doesn't come up right.
There we go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Isn't he adorable?
He looks younger there.
He's 7. He's so cute. I've walked him 15,000 steps today, so he's getting a workout.
Wow.
Here's another great picture of...
That's awesome.
Yeah. His name's Herbert, and he's great.
I like the name Herbert for a dog.
Me too. Because it's a very like old man human name, not a cute dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you want to start with? You want to start with we have just a couple of news story pieces that we're going to get to. I have 2 kind of really cool things that I can't.
You tell yours, and then I'll just tell my little ones.
First one is quick and easy. Podcast will probably know that I work for a company called CinemaScore. They are known in the industry because they go to audiences, or they poll audiences to get their opinions on movies. And it's better than like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb because it's polling actual people that bought actual tickets, not just people saying, "Oh, I don't like the movie because it's, transphobic," or some kind of like brigading thing. I do not single-handedly, but I was able to impact some social change with us. We just got a new ballot, and this is what the ballots look like. But the change I was able to help get is, if you see up here where you have gender, we've added a third option as non-binary. We used to only have men and female, but I kept getting feedback from non-binary people, the blank. And they would say, "Hey, there's no option for me on here." And so I kept, every time that happened, I would let the owners know, and we now have a ballot that has it on there. So I think that's cool.
Nice.
It would happen about once every 1.5 times I poll audiences. So not that often, but once every couple weeks. And so,
there's a lot of the times where a lot of non-binary or trans or people, they will just put whatever they feel like or whatever, right? Yes. So, but having that option makes them feel more seen, right?
I think it's cool. Great. And there is someone who's non-binary that works at one of the AMCs that I poll at a lot, and so I was able to tell her and show her, and she was pretty excited about it. So I think that's cool.
Get her number because of it?
No, I don't want her number. No offense. She's just not my type.
Same.
And I think she's like way too young for me anyway. Second story I have, this is really fascinating, and I have inside info. This is like exclusive. If we were like a real Hollywood persona podcast, this would be like scoop news that other places could pick up. All right, so here we go.
Before you shouldn't be telling this, maybe, or
so I wasn't told not to tell this.
Gotcha.
Once I reveal what it is, I think it's something that will have to have been known publicly because of the nature of what this is. Someone was arrested. Yeah. So there's public record of that, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So Warner Brothers released a movie called Juror Number Two, and it feels like it was getting buried. Like they only let it out in 35 theaters, entire state of Georgia, where I live. And thankfully, it's the one that I work at, so that's awesome. And then not only that would be weird, but not that crazy, because movies get limited release all the time. But the crazy part of it is this movie is directed by Clint Eastwood, director of American Sniper, Letters from Iwo Jima.
Unforgiven. The star of the Doll trilogy and all that.
And on and on. He's been with Warner Brothers for 40-something years, 50 years.
Wow.
He's made them millions and millions and millions of dollars. And he's 94 years old, and this is most likely his last movie. So for them to not promote it and give it a limited release is weird. Then there's a third prong to this. They're not reporting the box office numbers for this. Did you know that, Mitch?
Really?
They are not reporting it. So
I thought, isn't that like you have to, or no?
Yeah, so that's the thing. The studios have an agreement that they will all release box office numbers so everyone can know what all movies did to help each other. So like Disney does it so that Warner Brothers can see, Soul 2, an animated hit, didn't do well, so let's not make one. They all benefit from
Right.
But it's just kind of a handshake agreement. It's not by law.
Okay.
So they just decided not to release numbers and only release it in theaters for 1 week. Well, I was working it, and I'm noticing that they're almost selling out. It's doing really well. It gets great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, both critics and audiences. So it's like, it's baffling. I'm not really sure, like, what are they doing? Yeah.
Did you CinemaScore it, or did you just it was just at your theater?
No, I didn't CinemaScore it because we only do movies that go to 1,000 theaters or more.
Oh, right.
So this is way below the threshold. So all movie pundits and people are like, what the hell is Warner Brothers doing here? It's a mystery. A lot of the podcasts I listen to, everyone's speculating. Well, last week, just by chance, these two come to the bar that I'm working at AMC. I get them working on a drink for them, and I say, "What are you seeing?" And they say, "Juror Number Two," and I say, "Oh, cool, I read it. It's great. might be Clint Eastwood's last movie, and they're like, oh yeah, we know she was in it, and she points to her friend that is there at the bar, and I say, oh, awesome, congratulations. Was it filmed in Georgia? It looked like it was Georgia, and she said yes. She said it was cool to work with Clint Eastwood. She gave me all this information that was just awesome to learn about, and she is in the movie. She has maybe like 10 lines or so.
Is she one of the jurors?
She's not one of the jurors. She's a witness to the crime that happens in the movie. So she's interviewed on the stand, and we see a flashback of her at the bar where the crime starts to take place.
Right.
Her and her friend order a bottle of champagne, which is like really expensive to order the whole bottle. And I pop the top, and they enjoy themselves and go watch The Juror. And then later in the week, she comes back, and I'm working again. And this time she brought her family, her mom, her dad, her sister, to come watch the movie. And
nice.
This is me. I recognize her. We get to talking again, and I go into the detail. And I say, "What do you think's the deal? Why is Warner Brothers treating this movie that way?" Here's what she said, and this is the information that is that I haven't heard anywhere else. So the Clint Eastwood's movie. Do you know what it's about?
So Nicholas Hoult he's juror number 2, and on this jury for this woman who gets killed.
Yes.
In a road accident.
Yes.
And he starts to notice some things that might be going on that are similar to something that happened to him, and he might have an involvement.
Yes. So that's a story.
He's worried or something. Yeah.
Yeah, the story, and I think it's all revealed in the trailer, unfortunately. But
yeah,
the story is
that he might have something to do with it.
Yeah, he might have committed this crime that he's now in the jury for.
Right.
Is killed, and it looks like it's a domestic violence thing, but it might have been just a freak accident, and now he might be on this jury, which is a great story lead. Plays the woman that gets killed in the movie is played in real life by Clint Eastwood's daughter. 3 or 4 weeks ago was arrested in real life for domestic violence.
Oh no.
So the actress that I talked to said she thinks maybe with other circumstances and that happening, they didn't want the media story, they didn't want the bad press saying, hey, your daughter was arrested for domestic violence. Isn't this movie about domestic violence?
Wow.
And so it would look like really bad. So that's the running theory. I try and get her to come on the podcast to maybe talk about the movie. I'd love to, maybe once you see it, Mitch. She's also in the upcoming Brad Pitt movie called F1 about the racing team.
I've seen the trailer for that, I thought.
And apparently she has a scene with Brad Pitt. So
nice.
So yeah, it's really cool and exciting. And Juror Number Two, in summary, it's a good movie. I'd recommend you guys check out once it's out, again, because it's Clint Eastwood's last movie, and it's a great movie, and it's set in and around Georgia, where a few of our listeners live.
Yeah, and you live.
And I live.
And just a couple questions. Does she have a big part in it? And can I say not the girl but the Eastwood? Obviously his daughter's last name is Eastwood, or
yeah.
Is it Francesca Eastwood?
Yeah, Francesca.
Then?
Yep.
Okay, so she plays Kendall Carter, and she's the one who dies.
She dies
at the beginning.
She's dead right at the beginning of the movie. She does have some lines where she is alive.
Yeah. But does she have some lines when she's dead? No, just kidding.
Flashback to where she's still like moving and alive.
Yeah.
I guess we could Google like Francesca Eastwood arrest.
I know. I was just wondering that, but this movie looks stacked, man. I mean, Zoe Dutch, Toni Collette plays the prosecutor, Leslie Bibb, and then who else? Canadian Kiefer Sutherland. So that's awesome.
It's good. So just a quick Google search from people.com. Clint Eastwood's daughter arrested on allegation of felony domestic violence. So she must have gotten in a fight with a boyfriend. I'll come back to the article, but October 15th. So just 2 weeks before the movie comes out. Oh, that sucks.
Because it seemed to be getting a slow push at first. Like from what I saw, like a slow push. Okay, we're gonna roll this out. Everybody knew it was coming, and then all of a sudden it was kind of dropped. Like I feel like his last movie got more attention, and nobody and that last movie wasn't really
Yeah.
People weren't really interested in
Yeah.
it.
One of his recent movies was The Mule, which didn't get
The Mule.
That didn't get good reviews, but it did make a lot of money. Richard Jewell, the Atlanta City bombing.
Yes, but there was the other one with Amy Adams, the Catcher one that
Oh.
didn't. But even that one had so
Foxcatcher?
much. No, it had so much advertisement. It was like Amy Adams and Eastwood was in it. Oh, I don't think he directed it. Never mind.
Okay. But yeah, so that's the story about Juror Number Two. It'll be on HBO Max soon.
Yeah.
Because of this, but and when it does, maybe I can get her to come on to do an interview for it, and then you and I can review it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that'd be cool. This is like right up my alley though, you know, like I love the trial of the Chicago 7.
You'll like this.
I love 12 Angry Men.
I was just going to say, it reminded me lots. I kept thinking about 12 Angry Men watching it.
Yeah, and it's funny because Brian just reviewed this. Sorry to keep going on about it,
no,
but
it's okay.
Brian just reviewed this on the Film Vault, and he went down the list of people who were in it, and then at the very end he said, and he said Francesca Eastwood's in this, and he said no relation.
No, so she's related. He's wrong.
Yeah, I think he thought that there was no relation.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Which was interesting that now we're having this conversation. Just two things that I wanted to bring up. Thank you for telling us that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think
not cool. I mean,
cool
and you
story.
said this girl was really nice and to you, and
she was
cool
like really sweet and friendly, and you know, she remembered me the second time she came in. She waved goodbye when she left. We talked for a while about movies. She could obviously tell I was a huge movie fan. And she's of course an aspiring actress, so
should have slipped her our card, man. You probably had it in your wallet.
You know, I can't believe I didn't. I don't know what I was thinking. So I sent her.
And she's very attractive.
Incredibly beautiful.
Yes.
But another small thing is we have a mutual friend. One of my best friend's girlfriends is friends with her. So I messaged her and I said, "Hey, do you know I forgot her name, Curtis or Rachel or something?" And she said, "Oh yeah, that's my best friend's other best friend." And she goes, "Oh, I think I saw her Instagram story of her buying champagne at AMC." And I'm like, "Yeah, that was me." So,
oh my God.
So if I don't hear back from her directly, I'll have Lindsay reach out and say, "Hey, talk to Ant."
Yeah. So today we found out, and actually it's funny, I just saw it on Instagram, but today we found out that Conan O'Brien is going to be hosting I think it's the 97th Oscars this year.
Yep.
Or 98th, I think. And I think that is a great choice. Conan O'Brien has, honestly, I don't think he's been this big since his show was, at its peak. I think like with his podcast and everything, he is just he hits all those markers that movies want to hit, where it's like older people love him, younger people love him, and it doesn't really matter gender. So I definitely think he's a really good choice.
I think so too. I'm all aboard for him. So my admiration for Conan comes from he wrote what I think best Simpsons episode ever, the monorail.
Yes.
Where the town of Springfield gets the monorail.
Yes.
He was an early Simpsons episode writer.
He was.
So ever since then, I'm like trying. I follow him a little bit. I don't watch his show, but he's a great pick.
I listen to his podcast quite a bit.
Nice.
I don't as much anymore because, but I will start up again, and it's just so funny. Like you should listen. I'll send you ones occasionally that that are really funny.
Okay.
He did one with Harrison Ford that was great because Harrison Ford just loves him so much, and Harrison Ford's so funny. Anyway, so I think I think actors really love him too, so this could be really good for that. Also, we lost Tony Todd died, and he was really great. I remembered him when I was younger from the Final Destination movies.
Yes.
But he was also originally known for the original 1992 Candyman.
Yep.
So I'm just going to play a few seconds, not a few seconds, but like 20 seconds of a clip with one of his most famous quotes, and you can remember his very booming voice.
Do I know you? No, but you doubted me.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
That's Virginia Madsen.
But I'm late.
You are not content with the stories, so I was obliged to come.
Such a great, I love him. Such a great voice.
Yeah, and apparently he did record a little bit for the new upcoming Final Destination, so that's cool.
He did? Okay, because people in my horror universe were like, oh my god, is he going to be in it? I heard he was going to be in it. Did they get something? And he's great. But if you haven't seen that original 1992 Candyman, it is so good. And he wasn't in the sequel, was he?
I thought he was at the very end, but I don't.
I feel like I was frustrated because if he wasn't in it, it was like a really small portion. But
yeah,
he's
I don't
so
see
good
it on his list. Yeah, he wasn't that old either.
It's funny because Forrest, who we were talking about, he just said that he watched Final Destination 2. I showed him Final Destination 2 because he'd never seen any of the movies.
Nice.
And 2 is my favorite. And yeah,
I think
then
3 is my favorite.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah.
No, 3's good as well.
With
but
what's
yeah,
her name?
Yes. Everybody loves her so much.
Yeah, when she's married to Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. So we watched that. I just got on the topic about like the log trucks, and of course, as soon as you get on the topic of that, I'm like, wait, you haven't seen Final Destination 2? You'll be scared of log trucks for the rest of your life. So
and I bet those are all over Canada, especially like BC.
Oh yeah. Yep. I see them all the time and think of log trucks. So I think of Final Destination. When I see log trucks, I think of log trucks. Okay, let's get into some movies. Why don't we start with Enora? Okay. I need to talk Enora.
Cool.
First, I need to tell a story about me seeing Enora.
Okay.
So I was seeing 2 movies that day because I was behind on movies. So I saw Enora and then I saw Heretic, or how do you say it?
I think it's Heretic, yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that after. So there was 3 people in the theater. There was one guy and these theaters have the reclining seats.
Sure.
So the wheelchair seats are actually at the back, which is really interesting.
Means an elevator to get up there.
No, because the theater's sloped.
Gotcha.
So you come in at the back, right?
Yep.
So then you go to the front. So there was only me and him, and then about like 20 minutes into this movie, this other guy comes in, and let's just say he was really liking parts of this very sexual movie and making some noises that he was pretty far back, but I was a little concerned.
That's so obnoxious.
That like I was laughing wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
This movie is honestly my favorite comedy
really
of the year,
funny.
I think, so far.
Really
it's really funny. But he was making noises at other parts where I was like, oh, okay. So then I left, and I know the theater people now, obviously, at every fucking theater I go to in this area. And I'm coming back, and the guy's like, oh, you already saw a movie. What'd you see? And I'm like, you're gonna make fun of me, but it erased my mind. It like slipped my mind, and I said, I saw Anora.
Anora?
Yeah, and the guy looked at me like a fucking idiot. Like he was like, no, he didn't look at me like an idiot, but he was like trying to think. He looked at me like, we don't have that movie.
Yeah.
And I walked away, and I'm just hitting my forehead. Like, anyways. So Anora.
It's that thing where when the off your food and says enjoy your meal, and you say you too, that you think about when you wake up the next day.
Yes. And I've always thought about how like dumb people go up to the counter and probably like, can I watch Spider-Man and the and the 12 Rings, please, or something, like they don't know the title. You watched Nimona, didn't you?
It doesn't ring a bell right off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Well, I'll show it on screen. Okay. Enora. Enora is
but
a
you know,
young.
wait, before you go on, that I don't know what you call that, what we just described, where you like verbal diarrhea or whatever.
Yeah.
Because of that, when I work the bar, I purposely don't say to them, enjoy the movie as they walk away, so that they don't say you too.
You're a hero.
I know, right? I'm just saving the world one person at a time.
What do you say?
I will just say, have a great day, or have a good night. Thanks for coming, that kind of thing. Because it's happened like once or twice, and I'm like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah.
All right, so set up Anora for us.
Yeah. So Enora, she's a 24, 23-year-old sex worker. Well, she's a stripper, like is sex worker the same word as a stripper?
I think strippers, dancers now are considered sex work. It's all sex work.
Okay. It's called bungle. So she is like 24 and she...
In New York City.
Yeah,
or New
she's
Jersey.
living in New York. Yeah, New Jersey more. And she's got the accent. And she is just working, and it's really great. That first, like, you really get the vibe that you're in like a strip club and that these girls are very real. This is from director Sean Baker, who did Florida Georgia Project and
Just Florida.
Red Rocket. What?
Florida Project. Florida Georgia Line is a band. Keep going. Red Rocket.
Florida Project and Red Rocket, and there's another one that you'll tell me.
Tangerine.
Tangerine, which is his first one. Then this kind of goes back to that one because that first one was about trans and sex work and stuff, and it was all filmed on an iPhone.
Yeah,
really great movies.
And Florida Project had a sex worker in it. Like he talks about like always filming stuff, people on the fringes, I think he called it, or people who aren't necessarily represented. And of course, people love seeing those stories because we don't see them often. And of course, they're a little titillating and taboo. So yeah.
And this one doesn't hold anything back. We see like the film vault was talking. It should have been called nips. Like there was a lot of nipples and a lot of boobs and whatever
in the first 30 minutes, I guess. But
it kind of toned it down. And anyway, so she's working, and this young, probably like he says he's 21. He looked younger than 21, but he comes into the bar and he's very, very excited to be in America because he's Russian, and he's all like, no, I can't do an accent. I'm so excited to be here in your country. I love America. And like, she takes him back to a room, and then she finds out that he is like got a lot of money, and he falls kind of in love with her really quickly, and it starts inviting her to parties and over to his place, and then this doesn't happen until like 40 minutes into it, but like you kind of have to say what happens in order to get to where the story goes.
Yeah, relationship develops.
They eventually get married, and then his Russian parents find out, and that's when things start to go wrong. But the love story leading up is really cute and really interesting and fun to watch and entertaining. And then where it goes is like double entertaining and exciting. And it didn't go places. It went places I didn't think it would go, but that was kind of the setup. What do you think about it? I should also say Enora is played by Mikey Madison.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend, fiance, is played by Mark Idalstian. And the other people in the movie, I don't think you'd recognize anyone else unless you did.
No, I didn't recognize anybody else.
Okay. And I think I recognized maybe his dad seemed, but I would look that up later. So what do you think about this one?
So this movie had a lot of buzz ahead of it. Right, this was a festival darling. It won the Palme d'Or, I think, which is Cannes' big prize. One of the festivals. Mikey Madison, we've seen in small roles in other things. Her kind of breakout was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She's the one that gets her head bashed in or set on fire at the end of that one.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah.
That was memorable.
She was in Scream 5 or 6, one of the more recent Scream movies. And
okay.
About it, she's also in the movie. She's also in the movie Monster.
Yes, which is like basically from this year too, right?
there's like 4 or 5 movies named Monster. That one was 2018. That one had Kelvin Harrison Jr., but it's just another one I've seen. So I wasn't too sure about her, but Sean Baker hasn't missed as far as I'm concerned.
No, I don't think so.
So I was like just so excited for this. So I think we said all the ones. Yeah, we said all of his. Florida Project, Tangerine, Red Rocket.
Yeah.
Which all of them I've either liked or loved.
Yeah.
So
but he has like movies before all that too.
Yeah, he does.
Like feature length from like the early 2000s that nobody really talks about, so I don't know if they're even good or not.
Yeah, you know, he has one called Starlet that I got to see from 2012.
Yeah, I know. So I was thinking about going back.
Should go back and check this out because
he's one of my favorite.
Me too. So here's the deal with Sean Baker, in my opinion. I said it a minute ago. He like always makes movies about people on the fringes, like people who Hollywood doesn't make movies about, and not for really any reason they don't make movies about. Just they're more interested in making Red One with The Rock and Anne Hathaway. Whereas he takes people that don't necessarily often get their story told. He also often uses stunt casts, so he'll get like real people instead of known actresses. That's what he did for the Florida Project. So
and Tangerine.
Especially Tangerine, right? So
but
so for Enora, I really loved the movie. I took my friend Cole to see it, and he's more of a, I would say, in quotes, a normal movie fan. Like he wouldn't like any art house movies. He doesn't like horror. He also had a really good time with this. He just thought it was a little too long, and he might be right. I guess there's a few places it could have been cut down a bit, because I think this is just over 2 hours. Is that right, Mitch?
Yeah. It's I've got it up here, 2:20.
Okay, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Which
so they could have shortened it a bit, but fantastic. And it's fantastic for a lot of reasons. One, the first main one is what you just said earlier, is it went places you weren't expecting. And, to not spoil it, there's another character that becomes more important in the movie. And that's a place I wasn't expecting, because we get this romance, and the romance is really fun. Like you said, they are, they're young, dumb, that saying. And so and he's rich, and so he doesn't have to work or do anything. So they're going to Vegas, they're taking random trips, they're partying, and they're having, it just like a lot of it reminded me of me being 21 as well, life, but wanting to live that life, trying to do that. Characters feel so real. They just feel like we're watching a documentary. Mikey Madison is great, but even better, the male lead, Idashin, the Russian guy, he feels like a Russian oligarch's son, like
we've seen people in that role before, like a Russian or somebody who comes over and they're just like, they just here to have fun, and they're stupid, and their parents are rich and whatever, right? He fucking nailed it. Like, he was so fun to watch, and he nailed the sweet moments, he nailed the shitty moments. I thought he was great too, and I'm so happy you said that, because I thought I was going to be the one championing him.
No, because a movie like this, like a movie by another filmmaker, you would think like, oh no, he's going to screw her over, he's going to be a total asshole, they're going to be maybe having sex, and he's going to beat her up, or so, the whole time I'm like, oh, please don't. But he was just cool. He was fun. He has lots of friends, and he doesn't do anything wrong or objectionable. Well, that's not entirely true, but you know what I'm saying. He's a nice guy. He's just a 21-year-old having fun.
He's not a caricature of this role. He is believable, which is what we don't usually get for a role like this.
Right.
So,
he's very believable. I can totally see a 21-year-old college kid acting just this way.
100%. American. Even like with parents are rich or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
The movie goes on like a that's going to jeopardize their marriage. And you say they get married, but they elope. They just like, they're in passionate love and they're like, let's get married. So they like get married like that.
For sure.
Then the real world or real life comes crashing down. And it's like, wait, you guys can't really be married. What are you doing? And then that's like the back half of the movie is like them running from their kind of real life responsibilities, I guess you could say, So, yeah, I thought it was excellent. I really love the music, score, and the songs used here, like in the strip club where she's dancing. Those are great songs.
Yep. I liked how, they faded in and out kind of at perfect times. Like, it was like, this is just playing, and then all of a sudden it's playing over everything. Everything worked. Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, and back to the character being realistic thing. Other movies like this, maybe made by someone else, he would be a dick to the housekeepers or the landscape people, right?
Yeah.
But he's not. He's indifferent. He doesn't really care. He's just like, okay, I'll lift my feet up while the maid is vacuuming the house, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
To piggyback on that, he has like family or people in the area that are keeping an eye on him in America, like that are friends with his parents because his parents are over in Russia.
Yes.
And these people that are in, like I'm essentially going to call them mob like.
Yeah.
They seem very like gangstery or Russian mob like. And they are also not caricatures of what you would see on, like they're not out of Goodfellas. They are like, when they're leaving the house and he pulls over to the maid that we see earlier and he hands her a wad of cash and says, hey, it's extra messy in there today, I apologize. Right. And even the things that they're saying to our Annie or Enora are very like, like you wouldn't expect in other movies they would be mean. They would
punch them. They would, there would be sexual assault. And he's just like, Yvonne, come on, we got to do this with your parents sent me here to get you. Like, they're not like, we're coming in, we're going to beat your ass. And,
he's pleading, like almost. And then he could like, if something bad happens, the lead guy, he's like, what did you do? He says that so much. This movie is like basically a lot of like yelling and a lot of fights for the middle part and a lot of screaming on her part. She needs to be in a lead in a horror movie like tomorrow.
Yeah, I could see her being in the X and Pearl series, really, doing well there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think that's about all I have to say is just that I love the movie. It's a whole lot of fun. And to repeat something you said at the beginning, and in my review that I wrote for it, I said, it was much funnier than I expected. Like, I caught myself laughing way more than I thought I was. Like, it's so absurd and funny.
I agree. So, yeah, no, there's a... like, everything is just so real. Sean Baker brings you a movie that, like, you're not hearing about this stuff on the news so much, but, like, if this actually happened, this is how it would go.
Yeah. And
Enora, she's young, and she does some stupid things sometimes in this movie, but she also is, like, smart, and then, there's times where I'm like, girl, you need to, like, stick up for yourself, or girl, like, settle down. Stop doing that. I said this is like Uncut Gems by Sean Baker.
Dude, that's a great comparison. Excellent comparison.
Because it's just, once it really gets going, like you're tense. And do girls talk like this? Have you ever met a woman who talks like Enora? It's probably more an American thing.
In as far as like how abrasive she is.
Like the accent was like she said she had to. She said she had to like really work on the accent. She said I watched her on Sean Myers, and she was going into like bars and like talking to those kind of girls, and then the next morning she would go to coffee shops and talk like that in New Jersey and see if people would like, you know what I mean, like think she sounded
definitely
real.
In New York, New Jersey area, 100%.
Yeah,
lots of people talk like that. It's kind of funny. It's like that's the redneck version of that area of the country. Whereas the redneck version of the South is how Toni Collette talks, Oh, you didn't see the Juror Number Two, but
no,
you know what I'm saying, like the Southern accent,
Yes, yeah, where everyone says, "Oh, is that put on or is that real?"
Yeah.
Kind of like in the musical from last year, The Color Purple, like very very put on. So it's this movie to me is like just fucking hilarious. I could not stop laughing. Like everyone's so funny. Then you have like there's this character that you feel bad for most of the movie. And I don't really want to give that away because that sneaks up on you so well and it's so awesome and it leads to great places.
It ends with
one of my sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just about to say what you were about to say. I think it's one of my favorite endings of a movie this year. I think it really impacted me and it was satisfying in a sad but sweet. Like Sean Baker does, he just like throws things at you and says like, you know, take this how you want.
Yep.
Anderson didn't like it over at the other podcast I keep talking about.
Wow.
Brian hasn't seen it yet. Anderson didn't like the end. Sorry, He loved the movie, but he didn't love the end.
I was gonna say the same thing as you. Like the ending is bittersweet, but also sad because it's just sad. Her life is hard, and the stuff she's, the life she's chosen and built is a tough way to live. And it's just a sweet, it's a great ending. And I think if I wasn't with my friend, I might have, pulled some tears out of my eyes.
Yeah. It hit me deep. I didn't cry, but like if in the right mood, I might have, but it just hit me in a way where I was like, wow. And she's so, fuck, I'm sorry guys. Like, but I could talk about this movie forever. This is a 5-star movie for me. This is going to be in my top 5 of the year for sure. If you can see this in theaters, do it. It's a little long. There are some things where they probably could have cut. I didn't even really think about it until like about the end of that last act when there's some talking, and I was like, well, they could have cut this, but they could have cut that. They could have cut some of the stuff on this, but like to kind of push it more into one scene. Like there's an airplane scene that could have happened in this scene or could have but whatever. I loved it so much that I didn't care. All the actors are great, and this movie has like 3 clear acts. Like the first act, the love story, the second act, the mob road trip story, and then the third act is the third act where it's like shit kind of comes together.
For me it's a 4.5, 4 stars, 4.5. I think I would do edits would be in the road trip piece. We go to a whole bunch of different places, and
you're right,
they are funny, but we go to like 5 or 6 places, and if we took one out to get just a couple extra minutes out of the runtime, I think we would have still gotten the same message. But
there was a part where they're showing pictures to people and it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
And it's like,
it's funny.
Like, did we? Yeah, like especially like this he was really good too.
Yes,
like he was almost like the straight man in a comedy where you have like he doesn't get a lot to chew on, but like if he wasn't so good, he's like the lead guy. He was funny at the beginning because he's a priest and he's at a fucking baptism. He gets a call, he takes the call, gives somebody else the baby and says, leaves to go deal with it. That shows how much these Russian people that he works for scare him kind of or are his like top priority. The last thing I'm going to say is like the reason I think another reason Sean Baker may have done this, or the reason it kind of worked for me, is we don't, in a lot of these kind of movies, we see the mob will like, they're after a guy, right? And they break into the house at some point. And that's kind of what happens here. No spoilers. And all we see in the background are bikini-clad girls or someone in their underwear, or they're naked and they're screaming. And that's their whole scene. They either run away or they die or whatever, right? And that's their scene. In this movie, this is the wife's story instead of it being about the hunt for the bad guy or whatever, right? This is the story from the view of the girl who didn't run away or was screaming in the background, right?
That's a good way to put that.
So like you said, underrepresented people, and that to me I was like, these are this could have been a stereotype movie where she's just we just see her in the background and they're after the other guy. But yeah, anyways.
And even so, the last thing I'll say is even her friends at the strip club, they don't have much, but they have enough to give them characterization. For example, the assistant manager, right? The one that's kind of butch looking.
Yep.
Right? Like, you know all about her just by her look.
Who she is.
Exactly. Her look and the few lines she has. You can just immediately tell.
The owner is not a bad guy. Exactly. He's maybe a little skeezy, but and then the other, like, there's 3 girls she works with that are like, real, and you kind of get to know them, even though you don't see them for like most of the movie, and then you see them a little bit later, and you're like, I remember her, him, Yeah, he does such a good job.
Another easy trap to fall in is the owner of the strip club, right? Most strip club owners we see in movies are big fat, show me your boob,
Yeah.
This guy's just like, look, if you can't be here, you can't work here, Or she's like, when can I get health care? And he's like, look, I can't do that. Like, he's not a total bad guy. He's just trying to run a business. He doesn't necessarily care about the dancers that much, but he's not a prick. He's not like a total jerk. So again, that's like, those are small details that Sean Baker's good at. He's giving us characters who are realistic.
I think this is my favorite movie of his. I mean, I love Georgia Project. No, I love Florida Project, and I love Tangerine. You know what? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Mine would be Red Rocket. That one really, really worked on me.
Red Rocket was a hard love for me, I think, but I still loved it. But it was.
I like that one so much, just because the actor he chose for it. So anyway, but that's not the one we're reviewing. But yeah, let's move on since we've talked enough about it, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to set up Heretic for a second? I just got to turn something off.
I'll lead us into
me a headache.
I'll lead us into Heretic.
Okay.
All right. So Heretic, you guys know what this is. This is the new A24 horror/thriller. It's got 2 directors, Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Hold on, I'm going to wait for that noise to stop. I don't know what he's doing. There we go. Okay. It has 2 directors, Scott Beck and Brian Woods. You've seen the trailers, I'm sure. It's mostly, you know it for Hugh Grant. He's the main character. He's the cast lead, really. The other people in the movie you wouldn't know except for Topher Grace, but he doesn't really have a character here.
Yeah, agreed.
The movie, as you've seen in the trailers, is great. It's Hugh Grant getting approached by 2 missionaries. They are from the Church of Latter-day Saints, so Mormons. And they show up at his house saying, we've all had this in our lives where either Jehovah's Witness or Mormons come and say, hey, we're trying to spread the good word. And they come in because he contacted the church to say, hey, I'm interested. I want to hear more.
No. He didn't contact the church, because if I saw, sorry, it's such a fine detail, but I saw on her notebook, it said all the names and where they met those people. So like they had been out, like they were, and talked to those people, and those people had said, oh, I'm kind of, like, I guess I'm interested, and then they got their address, and then that's why they're going door to door.
So then how did Topher Grace know that they went there?
Because it was on her phone, and I'm maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, but I swear I saw her notebook and it said like met at Costco.
Okay.
Talked to outside of this place.
Right.
So maybe he had called, but I think they had just run into each other, and he said, "Well, I'm interested, but like I can't talk right now."
He expressed some interest. From them, but as you can tell. Jump, or going into this that his intentions aren't to learn about the religion. He has other intentions. So the movie turns into just like a deadly game of cat and mouse. They show up, they start talking, they have some great verbal sparring back and forth, and then unfold that put them in some serious danger. Movie turns into a horror movie, basically. I want to mention the two missionaries, Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East. Sophie Thatcher was in Maxine. I think she was her roommate.
Okay.
She was also in The Boogeyman, which was a terrible, terrible horror movie.
Yeah, I was trying to think of if I remembered that.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And then Chloe East was in The Fablemans from last year, one of the or 2 years ago, one of the Oscar-nominated movies. And that's about it. She has some other small things, but
she was in The Wolf of Snow Hollow, that Jim Cummings movie.
What?
Yeah. She played Jenna Marshall.
God, right.
So I
I love that movie.
I don't remember
that
her
movie.
really,
I don't have it logged. I need to log it. That's my favorite Jim Cummings movie. For the movie for my review, quite a bit, and I would recommend it to just about everybody. And what I think is coolest about the movie is, I think if you are hyper religious, you can watch this and enjoy it. And I think if you are an atheist, you can watch this and enjoy it. It gives lip service to both sides. And there are some nice allegories, metaphor and similes set up to say, religions are just iterations of themselves, copies of a copy. But my only problem with the movie is the second half turns into just a typical horror movie. Not completely, but it does. There's I don't want to give too much away, but for the first hour I was really in, and I'm like, this is perfect. The movie opens with our two characters sitting on a park bench, and the camera slowly zooms out, and they're having this conversation about condoms and sex and stuff. And it does a great, efficient job of setting up the characters. We learn that Chloe East is kind of the more stern and certain,
prudish.
Yeah,
maybe.
Sister Paxton, she knows more what she's doing and has her head on straight completely, and she's not going to have her beliefs swayed. Maybe.
Yeah.
Barnes is a little more idealistic and has more to learn about life, I think, because she's very plucky and bubbly and very sweet,
Oh, I apologize. I thought you were originally talking about the Chloe East character.
Yeah. One of them has black hair, one of them is a blonde.
Yes.
And the blonde character is a little more, airheadish, but not in a mean way. Just light. Yes.
Kind of like she's very open, she wants to learn about the world, but she's also set in her faith.
Yes.
And she's very into her faith.
Yes.
Very into it. And then Sophie Thatcher seems like someone who's has been part of the church for a little longer.
Yeah.
And she has, and she's a little more raw to the world, and her faith might be shaky.
Yes.
Anyways.
Yeah, and we learn. Yeah. And I hope this. I don't think this is much of a spoiler. We see a birth control or a birth control scar.
I was gonna say that too.
We see that on her, so that obviously means she's having sex before she's married. Which so if she was very pious, she wouldn't be doing that. So that's to clue us in that she maybe she's not able to be fully controlled by the church.
Right.
Which means she might not be able to be fully controlled other ways either, right?
I had to ask what that was in her arm. So
okay.
I did not know they came like that. I didn't know they were little.
Yeah, they can do the little implants. Yeah, I know who had that.
I didn't know that. You can do the IUD up, but
Yeah, I know it's.
We should really get into women's health.
Yeah,
right now. So yeah, I'm sorry. Were we?
I was going to pass to you. So what's your initial thoughts on this movie, Heretic?
Yeah, really, this movie has a first act and a half, about a first hour that you just know it won't be able to live up to, because the first hour is so good.
I thought it was going to live up to it. I was like,
oh really?
Yeah.
I knew there's no way. I knew once it starts to they're in this house, and once they kind of get further back into this house, I knew it was okay, they're not going to be able to live up to this as well.
Yeah.
As they did, because I was so into the conversation and the monopoly, the ways he was describing religion, and immediately this movie is hilarious too. Actually, it is very funny after coming out of Enora and then seeing this, I was still laughing. And I'm like, am I laughing at this movie because I liked Enora so much, or is this still funny?
I think it is still funny. I think it's written really well. This movie is very well written.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The dialogue.
Can you look up
and what happens? Yeah, what?
Can you look up what Scott Becken, did you say what they did before? Because I know they've done other stuff too.
I didn't. So they did I think they wrote A Quiet Place.
Right, they wrote A Quiet Place. Yes. No, not Day One, the original. They
right.
wrote. And then
Boogeyman
Krasinski.
And 65, that movie with Adam Driver and the dinosaurs from earlier this year.
Okay, so they're a little all over the place.
Yeah.
With good or bad. So essentially these girls come into the house and Hugh Grant is like talking to them, and it gets creepier and creepier, but Hugh Grant lays his cards out about being like a really creepy man very fast, and he makes it very obvious that he is a smart man and he knows all about the Mormon religion. He knows about
backwards
every fucking religion. Exactly. So like the girl's like, you know, do you want to hear? And she starts telling him about stuff, and he's like, and he goes over and he opens a cupboard and he pulls out one book, and it's the Book of Mormon, I think, and it's leafed through. It's got all the little things around it, like he's like, oh, are you talking about this person and when this person did this in this book? And she's like, oh, it sounds like you know a lot about this, and that's immediately when you're like, okay, girls, you should get out now. He clearly knows about the religion. Why'd he call you? Blah blah blah, or whatever.
Yep. Alarm be going off. And an interesting thing that happens in the first act or first 20 minutes is they tell him, hey, we can't come inside unless there is another woman present. Mm-hmm. And he says, oh, my wife's in the back, she's making a blueberry pie actually right now. So he lies and brings them in under false pretenses, like from the jump. And then that's discovered later nicely.
The only part, and again, this isn't in the trailer, but it happens very, very, very early on. As soon as they walk in, he says to them, this house has metal in the walls and roof. I hope that's okay.
Are you okay with that? Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would he ask them if they were okay with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an immediate red to where they needed to say, why would they have that, you know?
Why? Yeah, or why are the lights on timers? Is that like a energy saving thing? Maybe?
That could be, but I still think it is weird that it goes unremarked upon.
Yeah, like every 60 minutes you got to hit a dial on the wall, or 45 to turn the lights all back on. Not all of them, but anyway, so like those were two things at the beginning that I was kind of like, I wish were explained a little bit more. I don't know who has metal in their walls and roof. I mean, I guess if you're like a paranoid like prepper or something and you don't want that connection, because he is kind of like that.
Right, he is.
And he commands the screen in this movie a lot, like Tony Todd I talked about earlier. But this is a Hugh Grant performance, and you can even see in the trailer it's a great performance. Like even the way he's like, well, my wife's in the back. I mean, I hope that's okay. And like he's all nice, and he brings out and man, can we go into spoilers?
I think we should. Yeah, I think we should. I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So if you haven't seen Heretic, we are going to go into spoilers for a little bit. We're at the hour mark, but I know you're not seeing a movie till later.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay. So if you haven't seen Heretic and you're in live right now, we apologize, but I need to kind of talk about it. So essentially these girls get brought into the back, they get forced to go into the back. Like they did a good job at making it seem like they had no other option, especially because the front door was locked and there was no way to unlock it from the outside.
There's a good, let me pause you for a second. This is a good parallel with what we saw in Speak No Evil, in that they are trying to be polite and not be awkward and rude to a fault.
Yep.
Right? So they end up, having to go into back rooms when they should be going out the front door.
Yeah. And there really is no other way for them to go.
No.
So and they exhaust every option they have. He took their coats at the beginning, which had the key for their bikes.
The windows are too small.
They eventually do try the door. it is locked from the inside. That's when they really know things are fucked up, so things go on from there. And so they go into this back room, and essentially it's like a hexagonal room.
It's like a library.
And if you've seen yeah, it's like a huge library. It's got a million books. He's a theologist, I think he says he is at one point. He knows like everything about every religion. He went all across the world to figure out the one true religion. And that's what it comes down to, is he thinks he has found the one true religion, or he's going to make them try to
he finds the trait that all religions share, that he thinks is the bedrock to all of them. Right. They all stem from this.
Yes. And then this movie, like, I liked it up until I loved it up until they went down.
Yes.
And I think that's where things take a turn, is there's these two doors. You see that in the trailer. There's these two doors. He writes belief or disbelief on them. They both go to the same place, right? Yep. Yeah, they both end up going down to the same place. It's basically just a cellar dungeon, where they're trapped. And I don't need to like say what like everything that happens, but I just like, it's very interesting where it goes, because I didn't expect a lot of what happened, like what ended up happening.
Yeah, I didn't expect the murder of one of the people.
Exactly.
That came out of nowhere.
It felt early, like for that death.
It felt
to happen,
early,
almost.
and it like the movie was so cool in that he hasn't laid a finger on them, right?
Mm-hmm,
like, and I wish they would have carried on with that, because that is interesting to where he could say, I didn't lay a single finger on either of these women,
Right.
So that was like, oh, okay. And that's what I said in my introduction when I said, oh, it turns into a typical horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
kind of.
So my least favorite part was, for me, it kind of fell off a cliff, but then it picked back up for me, like in the last little bit. So essentially the Sophie Thatcher character, the dark-haired girl, she dies. And which I wasn't expecting. If anyone, I thought it was going to be the other girl, because she's the very naive.
Yes.
And then what she goes through is almost like this character arc that I really like dug. And then you realize how much smarter she actually is, but how driven she was to be a part of the faith and learn and so essentially she wanted to induct him into the religion, and then that would have counted as a baptism for her. Yes. And she would have gotten a member, and because she's new at it.
But the reason, and I think before you go on with your I think the reason he killed the black hair girl is because he realized he wouldn't be able to control her.
Yeah, and I got that. I got that later. You're right, because she was showing signs of rebelling.
Yep.
But in my head, I thought he would be more interested in her because her faith was shaky, but he was interested in the other girl because her faith was so strong. And so I guess that didn't surprise a lot of people, but it really surprised me, and I loved it. And she's hilarious. Because she is the more interesting character, I think, at the end of the day. And
Sophie Thatcher,
Chloe East, I thought was the more. I thought where it goes with her is felt true. The part I didn't like was everything with the quote unquote prophet in that middle part, where we're watching this girl and she comes down and she's really creepy, and she's like, you think she's almost like a creature, and part just really didn't work for me.
It was fine for me. It was fine, but I can see why. I'm not going to argue that it didn't work with you.
But then I liked where it went after that, like after the girl died, and then where her character went and all that, how it ended up. I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. And so to me, it's a 4-star movie. I thought like I could go 3.5 on some days, but I think I loved it. I loved it.
I like that. For me, it's 3.5 stars. I like the Monopoly comparison. I love the music comparison. I don't know if that story he told is true. It sounds true. The Hollies, Radiohead, and then the other one.
Yep.
ending leaves it ambiguous, which I didn't really like that much. Whether did she actually make it out or not? The butterfly seems to maybe imply that she didn't.
See,
and how did the girl that got killed come back to life after 20 minutes of her throat being slit? Like,
right?
But
is
that a miracle? Is that a miracle that happened? You know.
And that's where you said earlier, like, I think the movie leaves it a little bit ambiguous for people who are maybe do have a strong tie to religion or don't, to both kind of say, well, I think we see that the religion is true, or I can see how it wasn't. And I also think that's the same with the butterfly, is she's seeing it, but we aren't.
Yeah.
So is she just seeing the religion, or I think she did make it out. I think
too.
The butterfly was just an allegory for the last little allegory for religion. Why was Topher Grace in this?
No idea.
Why was he in a blonde fucking wig?
I don't know.
He added nothing to the story.
Why were the women that in the like deep basement in cages? Why did he cut off one of their fingers?
I think it was supposed to be like another creepy thing. He didn't really mean to. I think he was clipping her nails.
Why would he have said magic underpants? I get it's a callback to when she got pantsed in the first scene, but why would he have said magic underpants? That doesn't make sense.
I think it was just more of a he'd kind of known a lot of what they were. He kind of known a lot of what they were doing throughout the whole thing. Like, he might have heard her say it earlier when he's, like, you're going to say this and then I'm going to stab him.
Yeah.
I think it meant like he had heard her and then he said it and then it didn't work out for him.
Right.
Like, he said it to kind of like make fun of, see, I knew what you were doing the whole time.
Yeah. I got you. The design was super cool. That house they built or whatever they did.
Yes.
The little model he had of the whole place was cool.
I heard someone was upset because they thought it was going to be like a labyrinth type movie where like they were in a labyrinth and they had to find their way out. And I was like, how'd you get that from the trailer? I understand you saw the model, but like, I did not get that from the trailer at all. But anyways,
it's a good movie.
It is.
I recommend people see it. While it like kind of it falls off a little at the end, it's still totally worth seeing. Hugh Grant is in rare form here. It's so great to see him be a villain like he was in Paddington 2. Also, the Ungentlemanly Warfare movie.
I need to see that. Yeah,
he was a bad guy there. So he's been doing some cool stuff recently. The Gentleman
and the two girls are just fucking incredible.
They're great.
So they're great. They play their roles to a T. Anyways, thank you. Tell us about Red One. You need to tell everyone how great it is.
So Red One is in theaters. I worked it last night for CinemaScore. We don't have the score yet because it doesn't get released till tonight, most likely. But it's the new movie with The Rock, Chris Evans, and man, if you guys have seen the trailers for this, J.K. Simmons, Lucy Liu, Kierna Shipka, it is just it's a slog. If I wasn't, No, go ahead.
It's the talking polar bear and giant snowman fighting with the Rock trailer.
Yeah, and
that
Krampus
you've
is in
seen.
it. But do you know what Krampus looks like? If you've seen the trailer, Krampus looks exactly like Zack Snyder's Justice League bad guy. What's his name?
Darkseid or
no? The
other one.
The other one, yeah.
Oh, the taller one.
Yeah, with the metal. Yeah.
Okay,
he looks
keep
just
going.
like that, but
yeah,
brutal. It was like it's a bad buddy cop movie. Santa Claus gets kidnapped. The North's head of security must team up with the world's most infamous bounty hunter in a globe-trotting, action-packed mission to save Christmas. They rip off and use the Ant-Man shrinking and growing thing. That's how, and it's kind of cool how that's how Santa would deliver presents. He shrinks down to jump down a chimney and throws small presents and they grow. The Rock is just The Rock in this movie, like he was in Rampage, San Andreas. What was that tall building? The Die Hard ripoff one.
The Nakatomi Tower.
Yeah, and that's what it's called in Die Hard, but in
Avengers.
No.
Sorry, I wasn't listening
It's
for a
it's the
second.
same as him in Red Notice, Black Adam,
Gotcha.
Skyscraper.
Skyscraper. I like that one actually.
You did. Oh man,
I did.
But it's real Red Notice, and the quips and the little like jokes are all like the worst part of Marvel movies. And then just the worst part about this movie, it is so much green screen and CGI. Like really, really, I would rather watch Morbius, Madam Web,
Really?
yeah, than this. It was so hard to get through. And then there's a lot of like, and this is going to sound weird coming from me, but there's a lot of swearing in the movie, like to try and make it sound cool and edgy for kids. But for how silly the movie is, it doesn't make sense that they would put that in there. It's like, well, just get rid of it so more families could go to this.
Well, then why should I take my kids? Like,
yeah,
is it like
I think
the F word?
Fine. It's fine. Just, swearing like, this is bullshit, or, shit, a lot of words.
There was a bad movie I saw recently in the theaters with the kids that I noticed the swearing a lot more too, where I'm like, why do they have to do that?
I think it's to like keep it edgy so kids think, oh, it's cool, they're saying bad words,
Right.
But the material doesn't need it at all. J.K. Simmons plays Santa Claus, but he's like still jacked J.K. Simmons.
I saw that.
And it's like so I recently saw seeing what he's capable of in Whiplash compared to what he does here is just like night and day. So I really dislike this movie. It'll be on my worst for sure. Just because of the CGI, the songs are unoriginal. They're all these like corny Christmas songs. And then the director is the guy that made Sex Tape. Remember that terrible movie? That
Never saw it.
PG-13 movie called Sex Tape.
Oh no, that's the one with Jason Segel, and I did see that.
Yeah, Jason Segel, and then he also did Bad Teacher, which is another version of Sex Tape, kind of.
Bad Teacher was kind of okay, but like it sounds like he's done it like several times now. Just the same.
Yeah, that Bad Teacher has 2.4 on Letterboxd. He's done the Jumanji movies with The Rock. The Rock just like has the people he works with, this director, some other producers. Product placement, there's like Bullet whiskey in here that's just like Chris Evans is supposed to be like, oh, I'm hungover, wakes up in a bathtub, and and the are terrible actors. I really hated it. If I wasn't working it, I would have walked out. I wouldn't have made it 20 minutes in. It's just
I was surprised because like you saw it like opening night and you texted me and you're like, I didn't know at first you were cinema scoring it. So you texted me and I'm like, wow, good for you, bud. Glad you.
And the only reason I saw it Thursday night is because we were deploying the new ballot.
Right. Yeah, you saw it Thursday.
Steppenwolf. Yes. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, no problem.
And look, it's fine for kids, and I bet kids will like this. But if you're an adult or if you're someone who doesn't have kids, you will not like this. You'll forget it, and as soon as you walk out the theater. A lot of the people I polled last night were like, "Oh, that was cute. It was okay." It did get a few A's. Yeah. A few people were like, "Oh, give it an A." I'm like, "Okay."
I need to know what's going on with this fucking budget, though, man. At $250 million to make this movie.
Okay, so I found out a little more. I guess it was delayed a full year.
Okay.
So that helps add to it, because then they have to like re-release trailers, redo promo. The AMC I work at, we have a special drink that I make at the bar for it. We have posters. So they're putting tons of money into this.
I have never really gotten a notification from our movie theaters here are Cineplex.
Yeah.
They never really send me a notification. This morning I got a notification saying, you should go see Red One. Like,
yeah, so there you go.
I'm like, what? Oh, man.
So that's
anyways.
Red One, it sucks. I hated it. Do not see it. Or it's not even like bad enough. Actually, you could watch this as like a holy shit with friends. It's so bad. It's fun to like make fun of.
It's one that I would throw on around Christmas time at home with the kids, maybe.
Definitely.
But I'm not going to go sit for 2 hours.
No, and don't pay like ticket prices and stuff for it. Yeah.
Actually, I will just say a quick story. My youngest son just turned 8, Atticus, and he um, he got almost $100 in gift cards for the movies.
Wow.
And he was so excited because he was like, Dad, I can take you to the movies now.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I guess people would listen because he's more of like, he wants to go to the movie theater. Max would rather watch it at home, like with me. And then Addie wants to go to the theater all the time. So he's excited now to take me and Max to go see what he wants to see. So I'll make it a big deal.
Cool. Well,
but,
maybe he'll take you to see like Sonic 3. I bet that would be a good one.
For sure, they're obsessed with. Well, they aren't anymore. I had to just get rid of all their Sonic teddies because apparently they're kind of out of it. But they'll still go see that for sure. After Sonic 2 came out, they went home that night after we saw it, and they were looking up quote unquote trailers for Sonic 3, and I'm like, guys, I need to explain to you that these are all fan made. Yep. They're not real. Yep. The movie hasn't been shot yet
or announced. So
yeah, exactly. So I'll just quickly talk about My Old Ass, and I know you were going to kind of jump on with me. My Old Ass is now on Amazon Prime. It is a movie starring Aubrey Plaza and Maisie Stella. Maddie Ziegler's also in this, and I didn't really. What's that?
I said, yeah, I like her. I've kind of followed her. I've seen a lot of her movies.
She's very beautiful, like, 20-year-old now, like, but you've known her because she was in everybody knew her from the Sia video back then, where the famous one where they're all black and white and wearing the skin tight leotards.
Oh no, I'm thinking of, she played a Down syndrome kid in the Sia movie.
Yes, but that's the Sia connection, that's where they met originally, and then Sia has kind of been friends with her all these years, blah blah blah.
But she was also in like the
music and
what it's called, but then she was also in To All the Boys, and she was in a movie called Fallout with Jenna Ortega where a school shooting happens.
Oh yes, I love that movie.
And she was in West Side Story too.
So anyways, let me bring it back to Fallout.
Yeah, this movie.
I love that movie. It is about a school shooting and the relationship that kind of happens after the fallout, essentially.
Yeah.
And that movie is directed by Megan Park, who also directed this, who I kind of know through other people. I've never met her, obviously, but my friends got to go see the movie at the Toronto premiere because they were invited by Megan Park because they're friends with her. So I was really excited to see this. I said to my friend yesterday I should have gone to support her at the theater, but it is on Prime now, and I think everybody should jump on this because it's cute. This girl, she turns 18. She goes out into the woods with her friends, and she wants to. They do some mushrooms, and during this mushroom trip, she has her older self, quote unquote, my old ass, shows up, and they start talking. Yeah, they're having conversations about the future, and it's actually really not that much about the future. It's more about like the present and how, like, Aubrey Plaza talking to this younger character saying, this is what you should do. Instead of like, oh, in the future we do this, everything's different now. We got, there are some fun little nuggets of like what might be happening in the future, but they're not expanded on, which was kind of fine, right? Like it didn't bother me because like we didn't need this whole like, in the future we all hate each other, and
we have cell phones or whatever,
and we're bombing each other and whatever. But this is what did you think of it first?
I thought it was great. A really sweet and tender coming of age story. It's like 88 minutes, but it still packs an emotional punch.
For sure.
Aubrey Plaza is used a little sparingly. She texts her a lot. So I'm like, I wonder how much time they had her for, because Plaza's very busy these days. But it was good. And I really liked the guy, the boyfriend character.
For sure.
He comes on screen and he has like a really distinctive, weird look where you're like, is this a movie?
Don't say what his name is.
I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember.
No, don't say what his character name is, because that'll give something away. But yeah.
It's really good. I would recommend everyone to see it. It's sweet. It's really nice.
Yes. I 100% agree with you. It is very sweet. I'm at like 3.5 stars. I wish there was more Aubrey Plaza, like you said.
Yeah.
I love her, especially just after getting through all of Agatha All Along, and that's been like my obsession right now. So
you gotta
and then more
watch.
Aubrey.
Now that it's on Plex, you gotta watch Megalopolis and see her character in that.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna watch that and just kind of laugh at it. So this movie also has kind of like a interesting gay relationship where or a character where it's like, am I gay? I'm trying to figure it out, which was also kind of a storyline in the Fallout. And I love that Megan Park, who is not she might be bisexual, but I know she is married to Tyler Hilton, who was on the oh my god, sorry, he was on that one TV show, One Tree Hill.
Oh yeah.
And he's a musician. So I know they're married, and so but you know, she could be bisexual. But I love the way she handles these relationships because to me it feels very authentic and very real. So yeah, so check it out. It's on Prime. I really think you could do a lot worse because this is pretty top tier. And the lead I thought was just so engaging,
really
and
was.
I've never really seen her before. She's very pretty. I thought the name sounded familiar, like Maisie Stella, so I thought maybe I had seen her, but she's only been in like 3 things. So,
yeah, I hope we see more of her because she was really good and believable.
I agree. Maddie Ziegler, I don't know why she was in the movie, but it's because she was in probably Megan Park's last movie, but she was kind of just in it for a little bit. I could have seen more of her too, but
yeah.
Anyways, it's a good one. Watch it on. Yeah.
Oh, Maddie Ziegler was also in the Book of Henry. Huh.
Yeah, I see. I still haven't seen that.
Oh, it's bad. Well, that's just so bad it's good. Like, it's so crazy.
She was in West Side Story.
Yeah, it's so crazy. You have to see it.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up. In a couple that I've seen. So, Memoir of a Snail, animated movie. It's excellent. It's devastatingly sad, but it's really good. I hope it gets nominated for Best Animated. It's claymation. It's rated R. It has a lot of nudity, which is really funny in a claymation setting.
Oh, wow. Kind of like that Robot Dreams. Like, not that was rated R, but it dealt with some adult themes, right? Like
yes.
dating
and just growing up. It's based in Australia. It's really great. Whenever you get to it, we'll review it. I saw the movie Blitz with Saoirse Ronan about Blitzkrieg was the invasion of England. So Blitz is the defense of England during World War II. Saoirse Ronan has a little boy, and she sends him away to be protected during the war. He jumps off the train to try and come back home. And
it's got me crying already.
It's Steve McQueen directed, who did Widows and Small Axe. And it's also excellent. I think it was just a little too soft for him. It's a PG-13 movie, and not that you need violence or nudity or swearing, but he's been good at delivering such really tough and hard,
like Shame.
Yeah, like Shame and Hunger and Small Axe and stuff. So it was weird to see. It's still a beautiful shot, a cool score. If it gets any award noms, then I guess maybe you'll see it.
Yeah.
If not,
I'll see it since it's Steve McQueen.
Yeah, exactly. And then Amelia Perez just dropped on Netflix. You got to see this. Eventually, it has Selena Gomez. It also will probably get nominated for some stuff. I was watching it. I'm like, hey, Joker 2, this is how you do a musical. It's like a really good, decent musical. It's not fully a musical, but it also has Zoe Saldana in it, speaking in Spanish. And it's a cool story. It's about a cartel leader who, in order to escape his, the dangers of being a cartel leader, he transitions to a woman and leaves his family behind. And it's crazy how it all goes down. Yeah, it's cool idea for a story.
Can Selena Gomez act?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never really seen her in anything besides Spring Breakers, where I thought she was fine.
Yeah, she was good in that. But... Yeah, she can act just fine.
Okay.
She can act fine, and she gets to sing in this, of course. So there's enough here besides her that's really good. So check that out, Amelia Perez. But yeah, that's it for now.
And then next week we have the closest thing we've had to What do we call it? Barbenheimer. This week we have Gladiated, or whatever they're trying to call it.
Yeah, I guess. I think that's just the studio trying to capitalize.
Of course.
So I'm not going to call
Gladiator
it that.
2 and Wicked, which I'm going to see. I'm going to rewatch Gladiator, which I haven't seen since
I'm trying
I was
to watch it too.
A young teen. So yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it. Yeah, next week we'll be doing Wicked and Gladiator for sure. I'm going to see A Real Pain. That
oh yeah,
that
we've been talking about that one for a while.
I'm going to actually, that's what I'm going to see tonight.
Okay.
And a couple others. There's a few more coming.
Will you be watching any of the Mike Tyson and Paul Logan
tonight,
Paul or
right?
Jake? Yeah, that's tonight.
Probably not. I'll probably catch the highlights.
Me too.
My thinking is it's going to be scripted and it'll be
right.
So it'll be like, these judges, it's this. These I just don't believe it's real. I just don't believe it's real.
I don't either. Okay. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We will be back soon with a lot more movies. And yeah, so
sounds good.
Follow us, download everything. We'll talk to you later.
Later.
I didn't do the music.